Level 1, $9.50 an hour. You count it before you clock in. Not because you enjoy math, because the math is the only thing that tells you if Thursday is possible. Rent is due in 6 days. You have $340 sitting in checking. The shift tonight pays $76 before taxes. You already spent it in your head twice. The register beeps. A customer's card declines in front of you. You watch their face do the thing your face has done in other rooms. You don't say anything. You just ring up the smaller order they hand back instead. Your phone buzzes on break. A text from your sister. Can you send $20? You have $340 total. You send it anyway because saying no to family costs more than $20 ever could. You walk home because the bus fare is $2.75, and you've already spent today's transportation money getting here, 38 minutes each way. You've done the math on that too. It's free, technically. It just costs your evening. The first rule, at $9.50 an hour, every dollar has already been assigned a job before it arrives. You're not budgeting. You're just watching money pass through you on its way to somewhere else. Level 2, $17 an hour. The raise came with a title change, shift lead. You didn't ask for more responsibility, but the extra $1,200 a year showed up, so you took the responsibility that came attached to it. You open a savings account for the first time in 4 years. You put $40 in it. You don't touch it for 3 weeks, which feels like a personal record. Then the car needs a battery, $110. The savings account goes back to zero, and you tell yourself that's what it's for. You stop buying the store brand. Not everything, just the coffee. Small thing. Nobody notices except you. It feels like the first purchase you've made in years that wasn't a repair. Your coworker asks if you want to split a lottery ticket. You say yes. Not because you believe in it. Because for $2, you get to spend the rest of the shift imagining a version of your life where the math stops. The second rule, at $17 an hour, hope becomes affordable again. Not a plan. Just enough room to imagine one. Level 3, $52,000 a year. Salaried now. No more clocking in. The paycheck hits the same day every 2 weeks, whether you worked 38 hours or 52. You didn't realize how much that consistency would change your sleep. You get a credit card with a real limit. $2,500. You use it for a couch. You pay it off in 4 months, which feels disciplined until you remember you're still carrying the $6,800 in student loans. Nobody talks about it this level, because everyone has some version of the same number. You go to a wedding out of state. You don't calculate the flight against your rent for the first time in your adult life. You just book it. The feeling afterward isn't excitement. It's disbelief that you did something without running the numbers first. Your landlord raises rent $85 a month. You don't fight it. You could, technically. You just don't have the appetite for the conversation. And $85 fits, barely, inside what you can absorb without rearranging anything else. The third rule, $52,000 doesn't remove the math. It just makes the math quieter. It moves from your throat to somewhere further back, where you don't feel it every hour, only some days. Level 4, $78,000 a year. You buy a car new for the first time. Not because the old one broke completely, because it broke enough times that the calculation flipped. The payment is $410 a month. You signed without negotiating the interest rate, which you'll think about later and wish you hadn't done. You max out your 401k match for the first time. 4%. The company adds 4%. You barely notice the money leaving your check, which is the entire design of it. A friend from college visits. He works in finance now. He mentions a number casually, his bonus. That's larger than your annual salary. You laugh at the right moment. You don't ask a follow-up question. That night you open a calculator app and run your own number forward 10 years, just to see where it lands. It's fine. It's not what his bonus buys. You stop checking your bank balance every morning. Not because you have enough, because checking stopped being useful information. The number moves in a range now instead of a cliff edge. The fourth rule, $78,000 is the first level where money stops being a daily emergency and starts being a long, slow question about direction. Level 5, $115,000 a year. 6 figures, technically. After the raise that came with the promotion, nobody warned you would also come with 12 more hours a week. You do the math on that too, eventually. The extra pay divided by the extra hours comes out lower than you want to admit. You buy a house. The mortgage is $2,400 a month, which sounds enormous until you remember what you were paying in rent for less space in a worse neighborhood. The bank pre-approved you in 9 minutes. 9 minutes, after years of being told no for a $1,200 secured card. You stop telling people your salary, not shame, something closer to fatigue. Everyone at this level has an opinion about what you should be doing with a number they've never held themselves. Your uncle says you should be investing more. Your cousin asks for a loan. Both conversations happen at the same holiday dinner. You get the six-figure feeling exactly once. The day the offer letter arrives. By the third paycheck, it's just your paycheck. The number stopped being a milestone and became a baseline the moment it became normal. The fifth rule: 6 figures isn't a finish line. It's a door that opens into a room with more doors, most of which you didn't know existed until you were standing inside the first one. Level 6, $175,000 a year. Your calendar fills with things money used to prevent. A conference you actually attend instead of watching the recap online. A flight home for a random Tuesday because your mother wants to see you and you can just go. You hire someone to do your taxes for the first time. $450. He finds $1,800 you would have missed. You didn't know that was a service that existed for people like you. You thought it was only for people richer than you. Your friend group quietly splits. Not by design. Some of them are still doing the math you used to do. You notice it at dinner when someone suggests the $80 tasting menu, and you say yes immediately, while someone else goes quiet doing arithmetic. You recognize, because you used to do it yourself. You don't say anything. You just pick up a slightly bigger share of the check without announcing it. You get a call from a wealth advisor your company partners with. Free consultation. You take it out of curiosity more than need. He asks what you want your money to do for you. You realize you've never been asked that question in your life. You've only ever been asked what you needed it to cover. The sixth rule: $175,000 is where money starts asking you questions instead of the other way around. Level 7, $260,000 a year. Combined with your partner's income, the household crosses into territory neither of you grew up near. You stop comparing your salary to your parents' entire net worth because you passed it 2 years ago and never said so out loud. The private school tour happens. You didn't plan to consider it. You just walk out of the tour already thinking in tuition numbers, and the number doesn't scare you the way it would have 5 years ago. It just becomes one more line in a spreadsheet you check quarterly instead of weekly. You get invited to a fundraiser at $500 a plate. You go. Nobody there talks about money directly. Everyone there has it, so it doesn't need to be said. You notice how quiet a room full of wealthy people actually is compared to how loud money used to feel when you didn't have enough of it. Your accountant mentions a backdoor Roth conversion. You'd never heard the phrase before this year. Now it's part of your vocabulary, the way overdraft fee used to be. The seventh rule: the higher the number, the smaller and quieter the room you end up standing in. Money stops being the conversation and becomes the reason nobody needs to have it. Level 8, $500,000 a year. You stop checking prices at the grocery store, not because you're careless, because the checking itself stopped producing useful information years ago and you finally noticed. Your relationship with time changes more than your relationship with money. You pay someone to mow the lawn, not because you can't, because an hour of your time is worth more doing something else, and for the first time in your life that math actually holds up under scrutiny. You get a call from your old shift lead job. A mutual friend mentions the store closed down. You feel something distant and hard to name. Not nostalgia, exactly. Something closer to disbelief that the version of you who counted $76 before a shift and the version of you signing off on a $500,000 salary are supposed to be the same person. Your kids, if you have them, will never know the sound of a card declining at a register. You think about whether that's a gift or a blind spot you're building into them without meaning to. The eighth rule: at $500,000, the math you spent your 20s perfecting becomes irrelevant, replaced by an entirely different set of questions you were never taught to ask. Somewhere right now, someone is standing behind a register counting $76 before a shift that hasn't started yet. Their sister just asked for $20 they don't have. They'll send it anyway. They'll walk the 38 minutes home because the bus fare is already spoken for. They think this is about the hourly rate. It's not. It's about what happens to a person across every jump between here and wherever they end up. What gets quieter? What gets louder? what they stop noticing because they finally can afford not to. The paycheck hits every 2 weeks. It always has. It just takes whoever shows up and slowly turns them into someone else.